Section 2 of Part 2 of Vigyan Bhairav Granth will elaborate on the topics of Nada, that is, Shabda Brahma, and Mantra Sadhana,
including Shloka 3, Karika 150, the concept of the beginning and end of letters, or varnas, Shloka 4, Karika 150, the concept of the sound of musical instruments, and so on. Now, before we can even begin to grasp the infinite, cosmic nature of sound, we actually have to prepare our physical gateway first. You see, the mind has to be ready. This brings us right to the profound practice of Brahmadiya Bedadan, which is the piercing of the eyebrow chakra. It's an absolutely crucial first step. It sets the stage for the ultimate realization of sound, and more importantly, the magnificent silence that follows it. If you look at the sacred technique detailed on page 29 of our text, it's deeply, deeply revealing. To awaken the inner light, one must consciously close the external sensory doors. By gently sealing off these pathways of outside distraction, we can redirect all of our vital energy inward. We're essentially focusing our awareness, just like a laser, directly toward the very center of our spiritual vision. Let's actually walk through this practical sadhana together, just as Lord Shiva gently guides Mother Shakti. Imagine I am guiding you right now. First, using your fingers and thumbs, delicately close your eyes and face, gently drawing all your senses inward. Second, bring a very gentle yet deeply intense focus to the exact space between your eyebrows. As you pierce this central knot, this granthi, you will ultimately witness the Jyotirbindu. That is the luminous, supreme point of light. And witnessing this light brilliantly illustrates our transition directly into sound. Moving over to page 32, we are introduced to Shloka 3. Here, our meditation shifts seamlessly to Nada, the Shabda Brahma. We begin to carefully observe the birth and the inevitable death of the absolute smallest unit of sound. We call this the varna, or syllable. Listen closely to the resonance of these ancient tantric syllables. Yasya kasyapi varnasya purvantavana bhavyat, shunyaya shunyabitoso, shunyakara puman bhavyat. Just allow the profound vibration of those very words to settle deep into your mind for a moment. So, what is the secret hidden in this magnificent verse? It's actually found in the spaces between. If you take any uttered letter, any varna whatsoever, you must concentrate with an entirely undivided attention on its exact birth, meaning the total silence right before it is spoken, and its exact end, the total silence right after it fades. Right between those two voids lies the spoken word, and by focusing solely on these silent boundaries, the practitioner effortlessly merges into the supreme void. Let's look at how we practically apply this in sadhana. Imagine chanting a single sound right now. First, you just observe the profound silence before your lips even move. Second, you pronounce the varna. Third, you acutely, consciously experience its dissolution, literally watching it melt back into silence. And finally, you just allow your own mind to follow that fading sound, dissolving into what the text calls shunyatish shunyavasta. That is the ultimate, absolute state of the void. It's truly awe-inspiring when you see how this builds into a multidimensional realization. Philosophically, it teaches us that all of creation, represented by sound, arises from and inevitably returns to emptiness. But practically speaking, it's a brilliantly direct technique. By simply observing the very edges of a single letter, you can completely halt the rapid stream of your thoughts and achieve instant, total mental stillness. The tiny microcosm of one single letter suddenly reveals the macrocosm of the entire universe. Now, you might be wondering, how do we elevate this practice even further? Well, we connect this concept of syllables to the supreme mantra itself, the pranava, or the omkara. This is undeniably the ultimate, most sacred vehicle you can use to cross the ocean of sound and finally arrive at the shores of absolute silence. As detailed back on page 31 of the text, we see the specific method of the elongated chanting of pranava. By chanting the omkara with what's called a pluta, which is a prolonged and elongated pronunciation, you physically and spiritually extend the sound. You carry it outward, and eventually, your breath simply runs out. And in that breathless, suspended space at the very end of the mantra, only pure, vibrating consciousness remains. This perfectly transitions our understanding, doesn't it? Just as we can find the divine void inside our own breath and inside our own speech, we can also find it radiating in the continuous vibration of the external physical world around us. Which brings us beautifully to Shloka 4, found on page 33. Here, the text masterfully shifts our meditation. It takes us from the granular, sudden birth and death of a spoken letter directly into the long, continuous, fading resonance of stringed musical instruments.
Take a slow, deep breath and feel the truth of these ancient words. Tantriya divajya shabdeshu dirgeshu kram samsthite, ananya cheta pratyante paravyoma vapur bhavet. Imagine, if you will, the faint, echoing pluck of a sitar lingering beautifully in the cosmic sky.
Let's really break this down together. The instruction here is to focus upon the sounds of stringed musical instruments, which are prolonged and continuous. Now, the absolutely key condition here is anavasyata tavara. That means with an utterly undivided mind. If you can focus your mind completely on that continuous stream of notes, well, as the sound eventually fades away into nothing, your own consciousness merges entirely with the supreme void, the paramakasha. To actually practice this sadhana in your own life, you simply sit with the continuous sound of an instrument, maybe a sitar or a sarangi. Your mind has to become completely undivided, literally riding the unbroken wave of the melody. You become one with the sound itself. And as that note inevitably softens and decays and finally disappears, you do not look for the next note. Instead, you just fall completely into the vast, empty sky left behind by that fading resonance. What is truly fascinating to me here is how Tantra actually utilizes the senses, rather than rejecting them. This specific practice transforms the simple, joyous act of listening to music into a profound tool for absolute liberation. It develops razor-sharp focus, or ekagrata, and it guides the seeker to directly experience the divine bliss, the ananda that is inherent in all harmony. And this brilliantly illustrates the two very distinct paths of Shabda Brahma that we've explored in this explainer today. Shloka 3 asks us to find the void at the sudden, sharp boundary of a single spoken syllable. Shloka 4, on the exact other hand, asks us to find that exact same void by surrendering to the infinite, gradual tale of a continuous musical note. They are two beautiful, different doorways that lead into the exact same infinite room. And what exactly is that room? Well, it is shunya, the void. But please remember, this is absolutely not a mere dead emptiness. It is the paramakasha, the supreme sky. It is a state of breathtaking infinite potential and absolute stillness. It is the very sacred space where the observer and the observed, where Lord Shiva and Mother Shakti merge into perfect, indistinguishable oneness. So, I will leave you with this one thought to carry into your meditation. As the resonance of these ancient verses fades from your ears right now, as my voice slowly dissolves into the background, can you hear the supreme silence that remains?